Once in a big, lively forest, there lived a young crow named Covey. Covey was known for talking a lot. He would jump from tree to tree, chatting about anything and everything. He loved to share his opinions, whether anyone asked for them or not, and hardly ever let others speak. One evening, as the sun was setting, Covey saw a wise owl named Ora sitting quietly on the highest branch of an old oak tree. Ora was known as the wisest animal in the forest, and many creatures came to her for advice. But Covey, being proud, had never bothered to listen to her. "Good evening, Ora. Why do you sit here silently when there is so much to talk about? I have so many things to share." Covey squawked loudly, flapping his wings with excitement. Ora turned her head slowly and looked at Covey with her large, calm eyes. She nodded slightly but remained silent. "Did you know the river is flowing faster today? And the wind is stronger? And look, the colors of the flowers are changing. What do you think is happening? Isn't it strange?" Covey continued, not stopping to take a breath. Ora waited quietly, letting Covey say all he wanted to say. After a while, Covey, noticing that Ora hadn't responded, asked, "Why aren't you saying anything? Don't you have thoughts, too?" Ora blinked and spoke softly, "Covey, I have many thoughts. But wisdom comes not only from speaking but also from listening and observing. The more we talk, the less we hear." Covey frowned, not understanding. "But what's the use of being silent? How will anyone know what you think?" Ora smiled gently and said, "There is a time for everything. If we keep talking, we miss what others are saying. We miss the rustling of the leaves, the whispers of the wind, the stories told by the river, and even the silence that says so much. By listening, we understand more deeply, and when we do speak, our words have more meaning." Covey felt a bit embarrassed but shrugged it off. "I don't see any harm in talking. I like sharing my thoughts." Ora nodded. "Sharing is good, Covey, but when it's time to listen, listen with your heart. Words are like arrows, once released, they can't be taken back. We must choose them carefully." Covey, still not convinced, flew away, muttering to himself, "I'll show her. I'll find my own way to be wise." The next day, Covey decided to fly far beyond the forest, to a place he had never been before. As he flew over the treetops, he kept talking to himself, thinking about all sorts of things. He didn't notice that the landscape was changing and that he was in an unfamiliar place. Suddenly, he realized he was lost. The sky grew darker, and strange sounds surrounded him. He tried to ask for directions, but his constant chattering scared away the other animals. The more he talked, the more confused and scared he became. His voice, once so confident, now echoed back at him in the silence of the strange place. Tired and frightened, Covey perched on a branch and, for the first time, stayed quiet. He closed his eyes and listened. He heard the leaves rustling, the soft hooting of a distant owl, the gentle murmur of a nearby stream, and the soft whispers of the wind. Slowly, he felt calm and peaceful. He realized that by being quiet, he could hear the forest guiding him back. Following the familiar sounds, Covey made his way back home. Exhausted but relieved, he flew straight to Ora's tree and landed beside her. "I understand now, Ora," he said quietly. "I got lost because I wasn't listening. My own voice drowned out everything else. I was too busy talking to see or hear what was around me." Ora nodded warmly. "You have learned an important lesson, Covey. Silence is not emptiness but a space for understanding. It is in silence that we hear the truths that words cannot say." From that day on, Covey changed. He still shared his thoughts, but he also listened carefully and paid attention. He learned to value the wisdom in quiet moments and the stories told in silence. And the forest, once filled with his loud chatter, now resonated with his newfound peace and understanding. The moral of the story is true wisdom is not about talking a lot but about knowing when to listen, observe, and think. Speaking can share knowledge, but listening helps us truly understand others and the world around us. Silence allows us to learn and reflect, guiding us to choose our words wisely. Sometimes, the strongest voice is the one that knows when to be quiet and pay attention.